Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Starting off this real-world camera test with the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Now, anybody keeping score, anybody keeping track, might remember that I took the Xiaomi 11 Ultra last year to this very same event. This time around, though, we are missing one key aspect compared to last year's phone. The tractor is going, and that would be the little selfie screen that was on the rear of the Ultra. Now, to be fair, even until this day, that screen is not used for many of the modes that I wanted, so maybe it's not that big of a loss, but here's a quick look at the 50 megapixel ultra-wide on the rear for this video. There's a jet as well. It's going to be a noisy day. Yep, back again with another real-world camera test, so you can enjoy the pictures and the videos coming out of this phone right here, the Xiaomi 12 Pro. This is the highest in the new lineup thus far, and I don't actually know if there's going to be a follow-up to last year's Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra. Coincidentally, I did end up taking this year's top Xiaomi phone out to the same exact place that I took the Mi 11 Ultra to. Funny how that works. But of course we have to get these phones unboxed before anything else, so let me just say thank you so much for watching my video on this phone, subscribe for more, and let's go ahead and roll back the clock to see what comes with the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Alright, flashing back real quick, we're going to do the unboxing of the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Always excited to check out a flagship Xiaomi phone. There's usually a lot to talk about with it, so let's go ahead and get started with this. Taking a look around the box, not a whole lot to say here, but as I have been seeing in the last couple of years, Xiaomi 12 Pro, and they make sure to put with easy access to the Google apps you use most. Okay, fine touch. Oh, and of course, 5G connectivity, sound by Harman Kardon. We're going to go ahead and get into that a little bit more as I do my core content on this phone. But let's get past the first part of the unboxing. Have our usual flap here at the front, designed by Xiaomi. If you open it up, I can already tell that we're going to get a case here. Always nice to see a case included in the box. This one is just a clear plastic, so we're going to let the look of the phone still shine through. That being said, the plastic will give the phone a good amount of grip. I have a feeling we might need it. Even before I take the phone out, we already have some of the specs here. Pro-grade triple 50 megapixel camera array. Of course, we have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, a 120 Hz AMOLED display at Quad HD resolution, so you get the high-end specs there, and the 120 watt hypercharge, Xiaomi's hypercharge. Oh, and also 50 watt wireless charging, which is going to be pretty interesting if I can find a charger that would support that. You can already see that one of those lenses in front of one of the main 50 megapixel sensors is already huge. And there is the actual look. I mean, take a look at that. That's a big sensor slash lens. I do like the look of that though. It's got this real industrious design with very defined lines to differentiate between the different lenses there. You can see that. Then down here, of course, 50 megapixel. That 50 megapixel designation there is true for all three of those lenses you're seeing. And finally, let's just get through the rest of the box here. We have, of course, the USB cable, an A to C cord, which means that the charging brick that is down here, and it's a huge charging brick, after all, it is a 120 watt capable charger, right there, 120 watts, this is a huge charger. Nice little splash screen, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing set up, and let's go ahead and get back to the rest of this first impressions video. In all honesty, I do end up using the case the majority of the time, so it's nice that it's a clear case so we can still show off the phone's looks. The Xiaomi 12 Pro isn't particularly flashy, but as I mentioned in the unboxing, I do enjoy these hard lines. Actually, one sec. I keep seeing and enjoying the hard lines here that are separating the various cameras in this module. Now, before I run down the specs on these cameras, let's talk about other parts of the hardware. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is here, so we're getting the latest and greatest Qualcomm processor, and of course that's going to help with the photo and video taking experiences. But on the daily, this phone has been doing quite well, about as well as you would expect from a high-end set of specs. The display is a 120 Hz refresh rate Quad HD resolution display, and I'm just going to head over here to show off that those are indeed the settings on here. And this screen is of course nice and colorful for all of the media and gaming that I'm going to end up doing on this device. That all being said, I did have to contend with some of the software features, as I tend to with most recent iterations of MIUI. For example, turning off all the app categories that were up here so that I could have everything the way that I usually want them, and that is in alphabetical order. The other thing that I find interesting is that we have kind of an iPhone iOS type of feature where if you swipe down from one side of the camera app, you get your notifications, but if you swipe down from the other side, you get your quick settings. At the very least, one thing you can do is just swipe down on one side, and if you need to get to the other one, you just swipe over to that side. Alright, there was some info on the phone, but let's go ahead and get to these cameras, which actually sit real nicely on this module that blends in really well with the other portion of the backing with this gray color. 50 megapixels seems to be the target number for quite a few phones lately, and here you get 3 of them. That should make for a pretty good time in terms of picture quality, but let me know what you think in the comments as we get into all of the samples. Now, I'll be using each of the lenses and the sensors for plenty of video, of course, but I was already expecting that the best time in video capture would be through the main sensor, which is an IMX707 sensor. Because every sensor is 50 megapixels, you can get full resolution captures done with every lens in the dedicated 50 megapixel mode. But on a simplistic level, I was just appreciative that the high resolution meant that the rare times that I would actually zoom into stuff yielded some pretty sharp results, but I would not go farther than 5 times most of the time still. The front-facing camera is a 32 megapixel shooter, but you probably already know why I might not be as hyped about it as I am the other cameras. Okay, so quick preliminary thoughts. Front-facing camera, a little bit of a disappointment if I'm honest. Not 4K video recording, and it comes in hot and it's pretty soft. I get why that is the case. Okay, but the thing is, I get it. It's not my preference. I get why it's there. I get why the tuning is like this on this and other Chinese phones, but yeah, just not my preference. So I'm basically presenting all of these photos and videos from a fun weekend out with Isa and our friends, and you should definitely let me know how you think the Xiaomi 12 Pro is doing so far in the comments. But I will provide a little bit of perspective. The first thing I noticed with the Xiaomi 12 Pro is that it has a tendency to capture things a bit too hot. The processing tends to overexpose, and you have to crank that exposure slider down. Now, that's not a huge deal, but on a bright, sunny day out to the Carlsbad flower fields, it did become a little bit of a nuisance, and it could in similar situations. When it comes to video, I was impressed with the stabilization. I tend to move really slowly when recording already anyway, but the added OIS on here was supporting my efforts quite well. A little hard to get the focus right when you have like this fence in front of everything. It was a cool shot still, right? But we do have Pro Video mode, so I just slid the focus slider to get it to there, and back to the fence. The quality of the image in video capture is actually pretty similar to how I feel about stills. In some shots it can render the scene perfectly, and in others it just leans a bit too far into being overexposed. There's plenty of fun to be had in the camera app as there are a lot of different modes and filters. Bear in mind, however, that while every lens, except for the front-facing camera, can do 4K, and this main lens can get up to 8K video recording, many of these extra modes and features just bring that resolution down to 1080p. Fun portrait modes and whatnot in the video. This is one that you probably shouldn't be using in the flower fields because it is the color focus. All of this is in color, but I'm the only one that's in color in this video. Yeah, all the lovely flowers behind me just look like gray. I guess at the very least, the movie frame mode, something I actually really like using from time to time, is a setting rather than a mode, meaning that you can still get those cool shots with the black bars added in for a more cinematic look at 4K. Okay, I will say, all the sensors on the rear, 50 megapixels, so far, working really well. The ultra-wide is the only one that doesn't have autofocus, it seems, so I don't think we'll be able to get many macro shots, but at least the telephoto is able to get into those finer details. That being said, so far, working really well. There's also this vlog mode, which will literally guide you in every shot and then cut it together for a quick, nice montage. Of course, when you have places like this where you have a bunch of people in a lovely place, everyone's inner Instagrammer comes out, so you get a whole lot of people just like posing, trying to do some funny stuff. It's fun. It's interesting seeing all of that. Alright, did you have fun?
One thing could have made it better if I could have bought plants, but
Shouts out to Moonlight in this video.
shouts out!
Like, comment, and subscribe. And now some final shots here to show off low light capture. This first batch is actually the supermoon mode, and while it wasn't actually dark when I got these pictures, the mode adjusted the exposure well enough so that the details of the moon stood out, but it darkened the rest of the shot. Night mode shots do well enough to brighten the captured scene, but its effects are clearly more apparent in the other lenses, because the main sensor is actually pretty fairly capable at getting a good picture in less than ideal situations. Okay, doing a little bit of night mode stuff. Normally for these kinds of shots we just turn everything off in the office. So here you go, my favorite little sign that you might see in my videos. And now the same shot using night mode. Let me tap to focus there. From what I can tell in the viewfinder as I go to the night mode and turn on the video recording of the night mode, things are a little bit brighter. It's kind of impressive. So far, I'm actually pretty happy with the results coming out of the Xiaomi 12 Pro. There aren't that many surprises here if I'm truly honest, as it seems that the brand is just ensuring that their long-standing features, modes, and settings are all being supported by the most powerful sensors that they could throw in. Sure, there isn't anything funky like a rear selfie screen or a really huge, super huge sensor, but the three 50 megapixel shooters that are included here all do their respective duties well enough. There is some fiddling around that is required in the camera at times, so if you do think that the frame is a bit overexposed, it probably is, so tap and slide accordingly. The MIUI camera app comes with all of the filters and capabilities that we've come to expect, only now Xiaomi has put a little bit more effort into the low light capture, especially for video. So because of that, I will say this is a net positive on a photo and taking experience that is ultimately very familiar, but still a good time. For more on the Xiaomi 12 Pro, including my final thoughts on what worked and what didn't, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Sound off by hitting the like button and letting me know your thoughts in the comments. From there, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.